Performing CRUD operations in Web API is the backbone of every application. And in this video, I'm going to guide you to create CRUD, that is create, read, update, and delete operations in .NET 9. .NET 9 is released in this November and it comes with quite few modifications, and in this video we're going to look at some of them, especially dealing with API documentation. So if you want to know how you can create CRUD operation in .NET 9, then stick around, because at the end of this video, you're going to know how you can do that. Let's hop into our Visual Studio 2022 or higher, and we're going to create a project in .NET 9. So in here, we're going to choose the .NET 9 framework, and for authentication, we'll leave it at none because we're not going to focus on building authentication today. We just want to look at the CRUD. So when you check the structure of our .NET 9 Web API, you will see there is nothing new over here. When you look at .NET 8 Web API, it is quite same as what we have in here. But when you go to program.cs file, in .NET 8, we do not have OpenAI. But in .NET 9, we have this. In .NET 8, we have Swagger. In .NET 9, we don't have Swagger. So when you check the amount of code that we have in our program.cs file, you can see that .NET 9 has been streamlined, but .NET 8 is a lot, right? Great. Now, in order for us to integrate this, many developers would like to use the Swagger, although it is out of .NET 9, but it is still relevant because it gives you the view, a nice view, so you can interact with your controllers when you run your application, other than using your Postman or Insomnia, or even using the default Open API endpoint. But well, if Microsoft has dropped this Swagger, we can also drop it because there's a new API doc that is known as Scalar. I've already made a video on that, which gives you nice and appealing interactive interface, even more than the Swagger, and that is what you're going to use in this video. So without wasting time, let's go and install that package first. Aside from that, we're going to install our EF core packages, since we're going to be creating a CRUD and also connect to database, specifically SQLite, since we are building some application. So you want to create install SQLite database, entity framework call, and on the tools for helping us achieve our migration, and then the Scalar for API documentation. Let's get this done. All right, so we have the packages created. These are the packages that we need for this. So when we check our projects, you can see that we have there's an OpenAI default package. We have our EF core, that is what we installed. We have the SQLite for database. If you want to switch to SQL Server, you can just install the package as well. We have our tool, and then we have Scalar.ASP.NET Core. That is for our API documentation. Great. So now that we are done with this, let's go to our program, and then let's install, or let's configure our API docs. So we're going to say that app.use Scalar reference or map. So that would be an API reference instead. So that is all we need in here to make this run. Aside from that, we go to our solution, we go to our launch settings in the properties folder, and in here we see from default is launching from our we don't even have that. Supposed to have our weather forecast in there, but we can go in and add it. So let's add launch URL, and we're going to say that is Scalar, then v1. So when we run this, let's check this out. So we have our API ready. As you can see from here, that is our Scalar API user interface. And when you check here, you see we have, that is a controller, that is an app name, that is our controller, and currently we have only one controller, which is the weather forecast. If I click on this models too, we have the weather forecast model. That is what this controller is using. So as you can see from here, now if I click on this, we have only one endpoint, and that is the get. So you see that's an endpoint. This is a controller name, that is an endpoint, and that is get. So if I click on this get, can just go on test this, and I have the HTTP verb here as get. That is the URL, and that is the route, the endpoint. In case I want to add authentication, I want to add cookie, or in case I want to add any header at all or query parameters, I can pass them in here. So when you look at the interface here and compare to the Swagger, you can see that it is advanced, because in Swagger, what I know is if you want to add authentication, unless you filter, you add a configuration to the Swagger UI before you can even have this displayed or added. But with the Scalar, you don't need to do that. All that you need to do here is just an endpoint that you need to map, and that is all. Let's try this out and see the response from the API. And absolutely, this is what we have. So you can see we have this endpoint, and that is the result from an API. So that's our body. And in case here, we can see we have in case you have any cookie or any header, we can also extract them from here. And aside from that, you can see we have the time it took 220 milliseconds, and the status code that it returned as OK200. Right, so we have everything that we're supposed to get using the Swagger. We have them also here. Now that we know how we can use this, let's go and create our endpoint. I create a DB set and also add a migration. Actually, let's build a CRUD operation. So let's go into, let's close this. And here we need to create a model. That's what we're going to be using. And normally, you know, when working with CRUD, I do like product. So I'm going to create product model. So that is what I have in my model. I have an ID, the name, description, price, quantity, and our date created. You can add more to this. Now, once we have this, we need to go and create our data folder. That's going to handle our DB context, and that is where we're going to specify database and stuff. So let's do that. So here we create a constructor. That is where after we're creating a class over here, we need to inject our DB context in it, and we specify our product. That's our context class, which has been created. So we can change the name of this, and you must also change the name of this as well, which inherit from this DB context. Now in that, we need to create a table for our database. And also, in order to do that, you see we are setting up this. That is the standard way of doing it. So instead of having all this, which will give you null, you can see that this is going to be null. So if you want to get rid of that null, then you need to do this to get rid of this. So now that we are done with this, we can go and register this. So grab your DB context. Let's go to the program.cs and do the registration in there. That's a database registration. So here we need to grab our database connection string. You can decide to specify it in the program. That's the app setting.json, and I'll get it here. So I think that is the best place to do it. So let's do that. So after we are done registering this, our database context, we need to create a section known in the app.json as dbcon, and that is where we need to specify our database connection string. So that is our connection string. So you see we specify the name as dbcon, and here we are saying data source is equal to product.db. This is going to create SQLite database file, which will be attached to our API. So we can handle everything in here. So after we are done with this, you can just go in and build this project and perform migration. So let's go in there. You can see we have one succeeded. So let's click on Package Manager Console. If you're not finding yours, quickly go to Tools. Then you get Package Manager. You got a console here. You can get it. So add migration. It is a code for migration. And then give it any name at all. This will create a migration class, which will specify database name and the tables and the various columns that are going to have in that table. And that is it. So this is the name that we specified. When you look at this, we are using an SQLite. So it's going to provide an ID, which is a auto increment as a primary key. Defaultly, we have the following column specified. We can drop the table, but we are not ready to do that. So let's go and update this class. So migration is done, and now when you go to solution and check, you see that it has been added over here. If you want to open it, you need to download DB browser, which is specifically designed to open SQLite files. So let's get that package installed. So you can see we have this a package named DB browser for SQLite. You can just go into this link. I'll put it in the video description so you can grab this package in here. I have it already installed. So what I'm going to do here is you can install it from here. I'm going to run it. So right click on this project, this database file, go to open container folder. In here, right click on this database and I'll click on open with. You're gonna have the SQLite file. So unless I choose the file over here. All right. And you can see that here it has been opened. There's a migration history that we performed. If I click on browse table, you can see we have this product table over here. So that's what we have. Currently we have this ID, name, description, price, quantity, and our date created. It has no record. So let's go and create our controller so we can pass on record to this table. So in our solution, we have in a controller, you can create a repo whereby we inject a DB context, which gives access to our database table, and we can perform a CRUD in there. Or for simplicity of this, I want to do that in a controller. So let's go to controller, let's create a new controller, and we're going to name this as product controller. If you want to know how you can create a repository for this, I've made a video in there. I'll put in the video description so you know how you can create a repository for this CRUD operation, and I use that in your controller instead. API, let's choose the empty one. Let's give it a name as product. Now this is our route, so you have an API. Now the name of the controller as product slash API slash product. Now let's go and create our first endpoint. That's going to be get. So let's say this is get all product. So I would like to use the action results, and that is where we need to specify what we want to return. So once you have this created, we need to also go in. You can just grab this, make a duplicate, and let's say this is single. So we want to get single product. We need an ID, so we need to specify an ID here. And now instead of this get product, we are getting a single product, so we need to specify this ID as well. Then let's make a same copy. This time around, we are done with the get. We want to create, so we're going to be HTTP post, and here we're going to say add or create. So instead of we have get, it will be create product, and with this it needs a payload of product, but that is what we need to provide in order for this API to work. Now we need to do same for an update. So let's make this, instead of saying post, you're going to say put. Now this is going to be update, which takes in same product over here. And now this is going to return just a product which has been updated. This also doing same, the added product. Aside from that, we need the last one, which we'll talk about delete. So within this delete, you want to delete the product based on the ID that we have provided. And after that, return no content. So delete, and we pass in an ID. So this is going to be http delete. So this takes in just an action result. So let's go and start working with it. Let's inject our DB context class, which is our product instead. So in our product, we want to get our product. So this is what we're going to do. So this is a simple thing that we're doing here. We are returning if product.any. We want to return product in case you have, when we get this from this repo and we have the product over here, in case you have any, you want to return the product with OK status code. But in case we do not, then we want to return not found. But even there is this IntelliSense saying we can even streamline this. We can optimize this well. We should use count check instead of any. Well, if that would be the best thing, I think we have to go for that. Then let's same thing, we're going to get it from the database. So instead of get by get list, we can just grab the same thing over here. Since we have a parameter of an ID, we do not need to get the whole list. We're going to be using first or default or find. We can use find async. So product.find async, and let's specify the ID here, because since the ID is the primary key, find async tackles the primary key, and we're going to have it in there. Instead of this, we're not going to say product because it's only one, and we can say if product here it is not equal to null. So we can use this null or we can use is not. So either we use this or we can also go in there and use is not null. Then we want to return this product, else we can return same not found. What of the create? In case you want to create it, then it's quite simple. Just go in there and I'll add it. So context dot, you're going to have our product, then add the product coming in, and at the end of the day, you make sure you save it. Since we're going to be also using this, we can also use return created at, so we can call this get product and do that. Or this what we can do. Now with this find by ID async, we can put this in a different priority method so we can use it. But well, you know, when you add product, you can also use get last. The last one is going to be what's recently added, and we can also return that. So we can get the last. And then when we come to the update here, we need to find the product by ID, and then we go and execute update. But well, you must make sure that with this update, in case we provide a model whereby it is not found, it's going to insert it. But well, if we are sure that the ID is found, then we can go and use straightforward this update. So we can decide to go on and use this. So context.product. Then we can execute this update and then pass on this product. After that, we can go ahead and now save changes. So we can use it, or you can look at it. You can search for it using first or default or find async, and then you update the values of the columns one by one. Let's say if you don't want to use this, now this is going to update everything. If you want to update a specific field, let's see what we need to do. Let's comment this. Let's get it. So find async. And now with this, you're going to provide this product.id. Okay. Now this product, we cannot have two product variables. So we have this. Now this ID, that's what we are referring to. And let's go and check for this. So that definitely this is going to be found, or we can check if product is not equal to null. That is where we want to do this. But in case it is null, then you can return something like bad request, something like that. Okay, any response. And then in case product is not now, we can go ahead and I'll say this product dot. So you can decide to be selective here. You can update only the description. You can also update only the name, maybe the price. You can update this price. Then you can go on and update them one by one. But if you want to update all of the models or all of the columns in there, then we should go in for these two lines. This is quite simple one. And let's comment this. So you can use any of them. After you are done with these changes, we can return maybe this product. This is a new updated one, so we can return this product. Now when we come to delete, we can also do same. We need to go and find it. So find ID, get this product, and in here I think we can use this code. So let's grab this, and in here let's uncomment this. So what are we doing? We want to find a product by this ID. When we get this product, we want to go in there and remove it. So if product is not now, then go in and remove it after that and make sure you save changes. So we can say that context dot product and go and remove this product. As soon as you are done, what is the next thing to do? You must persist the changes. So let's grab this, paste it here, and then let's say return no content. Once you are done deleting, you have nothing to display, so you can return no content. So we have our CRUD implemented nicely in our controller. All right, so let's go in there and run this and see how we can integrate this or use this in the new Scalar Open API documentation that we have integrated. All right, so that is it. We have our product controller over here. As you can see, we have two controllers. When it comes to models, we have two models, one for each. This is our product model, ID, name, price, quantity, and our date created. So it tells you the type, the data type it is, string, integer, and as you can see, double. You can get them from here. Okay, now let's try our endpoint, controller endpoint for product. And in here we have product get all, that is get. This also is get for single. We have a post for create, put for update, and delete. If you want to execute this, what can you do? You also have this endpoint over here. So straightforward. Without coming here, you can also click on this to start testing. So try to get all and just hit a send. If you want to add some header to this or cookie to this or query, you can go ahead and do that. But for now, we don't want to do any of this. So let's go and hit our raw endpoint. We make a call to our controller. Now let's see. So currently we are having this is the type, and now the type is not found. Status is 404. We have our trace ID as well, telling you that our endpoint got hit. But since we do not have any record, we return 404 as not found. This our header. It tells you the content type, the date the execution was made, and our server type as Kestel. Great. Let's go to the next one. So we can just go to the next over here. And instead of this, we want to execute this single, right? So this single. But before we do that, I think we need to add first. So let's click on this. And in execution, we need to add something because there's a post. We need to add body. So down here, you can see that is where you provide all these essentials. So we can have them here. There's an ID. Let's give it something here. So once I have this data, I can click on send. Now let's see whether this will get created. So this is our type, and it's saying one or more validation error occurred. Status code is 400, and now product field is required. So here it's talking about this date created. It should be a JSON, and it could not convert to system.date. So this is what we need to do. If we don't want to provide this ourselves, we can just go back to our controller from here. Then before we add over here, we can say that our product dot date created is equal to date time dot now. So we have the value set. We can rerun this again and check this out. Now let's check this out. So we're going to make the same call with our providing values to the dates created. Let's make a send. Now let's check this out. So we're having the same thing here, right? It tells you that we need to provide data here because our endpoint is not hit. Even when you put a breakpoint here and try to hit it, it will not be hit because you need to provide a value to this. So let's provide datetime to this, and let's hit on send to make sure our endpoint is called, and that is this one. So we're having an issue here, and it's saying that so product ID, we do not need to provide an ID because CF-Core will do that automatically. But if we check, and let's try this again. So we are having an issue. This cannot allow operation must have the deterministic sort order. Right, so with that, instead of sorting as when you have a lot, now this table, this database does not have much record, so we can sort it easily. But to get a recently added one and you want to sort when it has a huge record, it's going to be a lot of work. So we want to use another one. Let's return created at. That is where we need to call this get product, passing the ID, and that will be all. So let's replace this line. So instead of returning this, we can just return. Then we can use created at. Let's use this action, which takes in the name of. You want to call this get product by ID. And then let's specify the argument. That's the parameter that we need. So it takes in an ID. And this ID is equal to this new or this product dot ID, and that is all we need to do. Now let's run this again. Let's go and try this again. So for add, test this result, and from our body I have it copied, so I need not to type them again. Let's execute this, and yeah, we have it. You can see we have this record that we provided. Now we have it. We can add another one. Let's execute this. We also have this. Let's go and get product by, not even by ID, product or product. Execute this, and we're going to have the list. So as you can see, this is a list of product, and we have the first product with an ID. We're going to have the second product with also an ID, and that is the next one. So this is the second product. If you want to delete it, let's see how possible this could be. But before, let's get this updated. So I need to get the same. You want to update the first one, so that is an update. Let's execute this, and in here, that's number ID 1. This is the date, and in here you want to change the description. Let's say product updated. Let's click on send, and now we have it. Let's go to get by ID. Let's provide the ID of 1. So there's an ID. Come here and provide the ID of 1 and execute this, and you can see sample product updated. The last part left here, it is delete. We're going to delete the same product ID of 1. So we have, this is get. This is delete. Test this out, delete, and now let's specify the ID of 1 and send it. Body, nothing here, no content. As you can see, it took this milliseconds. It took. There is a response status, no content. Now when we try to get our product or even that product, that is my ID of 1, get product ID of 1, you can see we have is 404. One good thing about this is you can see it keeps history. So as you use it, it keeps it. So since we used it already, we did not get it. Okay, so we have this is get, right? Oh, I want us to use single. So this is get, test this. Oh, that is delete. You want to look at get. So this is delete, and it is not this one. It is rather this. So test, and we still having this. So that is get all. Get by ID. Test is okay. So we still have this get API all, So okay, let's modify this, pass in the ID of 1, and now send this, and we must have 404. When we take this off and pass in all, we must have one product, that's an ID of 2, and we have the same record in here. All right, so that is it. I'll leave this video source code link in the video description. So if you want to grab this for personal review, you can go ahead and do that. Thank you guys for watching this, and if you have any question as well, or any topic that you want me to cover in the future videos, you can put it in the comment below, and I'll make sure I provide maybe some content on this. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.